Hi YouTube, it's me, Battle Boy. I just want to talk about my ex-girlfriend Sabrina. My God, I have made a video and stuff about her and me saying bad stuff about other people also. And I don't know what was wrong that day. Just, So this is what I truly feel like. Okay? That was my hate video. This is what I actually feel like. So, okay. When she was dating me, that like Thursday, like the day we actually started kind of hanging out a little bit, like 2 weeks ago, that was like one of my best days at school. I liked it a lot. I liked her a lot and everything, and I thought she liked me a lot. And then on Friday, I asked her out, and she said yes. And I'm like, yay! And that was probably my peak of being the most happiest person. And then Monday came along, and then she gave me her number, and I'm like, yay! We were texting, and then Tuesday she started holding my hand and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, freaking finally! I was so happy. I was like the most happiest person and everything like that. Then and then I called her that night, and then she said love you, and I'm like, and then I like almost had a heart attack, and then I'm like oh my God and everything. And then I called her a couple other times, and then and I kind of messed up a couple of times while calling her, so I didn't know what to say. I got really nervous, and then I just get really nervous very easily. So I was sitting there very quietly, and we sat there for like 5 minutes in silence. Once, like I think it was on Friday night, and we sat there in silence, like on the phone for 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go now, she said, and I'm like, okay. And then she's like, love you, bye. I'm like, love you too, bye. And then she hung up. And I'm like, oh God, what am I doing wrong? And I started panicking. And then I called her on Saturday, and she didn't pick up. I'm like, oh God, did I do something freaking wrong? And then on Sunday, then I called her and she picked up. And then we didn't know what to say. I'm like, so how was Saturday? She's like, good and everything like that. And then I'm like, okay. And then that day, like, I'm like, I just made another huge mistake in that call saying because it got really awkward again. I didn't want to make it too awkward. I didn't want her to hang up. And I'm like, all right, this is getting kind of awkward. I'm just going to go now. And then she's like, oh, okay, bye. I'm like, love you, bye. And then she's like, love you, bye, also. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh my God, why was I so stupid? I should have let her hang up. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to stop getting nervous. So then on Monday, I was like really happy to see her again. I was about to give her a hug, but I couldn't find her during Monday in the morning. And I saw her finally on the morning, and then all of a sudden she started walking the opposite way. And I'm like, that's weird. She saw me. Why didn't she actually start walking up? And I started getting a little bit confused. And then I saw her during fasting period, and she didn't really like do anything. And I'm like, okay, this is getting kind of weird now. And then she wouldn't really respond to my text like she was on Monday and Tuesday, where we were sitting there totally texting during school. And then during lunch, she didn't really do anything to me. She went with my friend Faith out to the football field and started playing. Then on Tuesday, then and then Monday, rest of Monday, this guy named Alex, which I get really jealous over sometimes, and it just gets me very frustrated. And I get jealous super easily. So pretty much, I saw like them talking, and I saw them and then I saw her push her, and then she got back up, and then like Chelsea made me give her a big hug, and then that was pretty much it. And then I tried to call her that night, and she didn't pick up. And I'm like, okay. And I got really confused on Tuesday. couldn't find her on Tuesday, and then morning at all, and then so I was walking and everything like to what is that? What is it? To social place. I saw her. She looked at me and just kept on walking. And I'm like, okay, what the crap is going on here? And I'm like asking her friend. She's like, oh, she's going through a hard time right now. She's having family issues. And I'm like, but she's acting normal in front of everybody else besides me. And that started kind of hurting my feelings a little bit. And I started getting kind of sad. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, just then I try to stay positive and everything like that. And then I'm like, I'm dating this really nice girl and everything like that. I'm like really excited and happy and everything like during my last hour. Even in science, she didn't really talk to me, and I'm like, oh my god. In lunch, oh, and during lunch that day, I saw this guy named Dimitri. I'm pretty sure he's new. I haven't seen him before during lunch period, where he moved lunches. And I saw her like kind of hanging around, and I'm like, that's odd. And then they're like kind of playing around. I'm like, And then Robert came up to me. He's like, "Why are you going? Why are you hanging out with your girlfriend?" I'm like, she's going through stuff. I don't want to deal with it and everything. I'm like, I just don't. I don't know Robert. And he's like, okay, but still, he should be out there playing with her. I'm like, you're right and everything. But then it was too late. It was like right as everybody started coming in from the field. I'm like, oh god, I made a mistake. And then on Wednesday is when was like the worst day of the week for me. Then that one, she didn't really talk to me in the morning, and I saw her. And then she started walking up towards me, and also she started walking on my. I'm like, that's odd. And then and then I saw her during past period. She didn't really look at me at all, even though she like glanced at me and started looking opposite way. I'm like, all right, and I started getting really sad and depressed. I'm like, did I really do something wrong here? And I started like panicking. Oh god, something just fell in my house. And I started panicking, and I'm like, oh god, no, please. And I'm like, oh no. And Robert came up to me during my English class and started saying, oh yeah, we were talking about you. You guys really have nothing in common and everything, but she likes for how nice you are. And I'm like, really? And that made my day positive. I thought it was going to be the highlight of my day for Robert saying that about us. I'm like, okay. And then I started going on with my day, and then lunch hit, and that's when everything fell apart. And yes, I'm drinking a soda, so it helps when I'm talking. But so during lunch, all of her friends are in a group, and I tried to stay near her, but she was in the middle. I'm like, okay. And a couple of her friends that usually sit next to me were over next to her, and I'm like, that's odd. And I started getting really confused. I'm like, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, I started walking out with my friend David, and we're sitting there, and he was like listening to music. I was sitting there talking to him. And then all of a sudden, these two girls like, we need to talk to you private. And they're like, both of my friends. It's Faith and Shannon. They're like, okay, we need to talk to you in private. And I'm like, what about? And they're like, about her. I'm like, no, this is not happening. And they're like, Tyler, she's having problems with life. She might be moving. And yeah, I almost just dropped my glass. And then I'm like, really? And I started panicking and everything like that. And I'm like, and then they're like, yep, she's breaking up with you. I'm like, but yet she doesn't say it in front of my face. And they're like, yeah, she can't do it. She feels really bad for you. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that and everything like that. And then for the rest of the day, I was really sad. During science, I was sitting there. I had to go in another room. And I started I was almost ready to start crying. And even the teachers started asking me if I need tissues. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I came back into science, and I actually was like starting to tear up. And I'm like, okay, Miss Givney, can I go to the bathroom? And she's like, yeah. And I started going in the bathroom, and I started totally crying. Luckily, nobody was in there. And then I came back in. I was really depressed and everything like that. And I'm like, oh my god, like this, I can't believe she's actually breaking up with me. And then I started getting really depressed. Then Thursday came along, and then I was still really depressed and didn't know what to do and everything like that. And then I started just getting really sad. And Friday came along, and she was acting normal for her friends, you know, laughing and everything. I'm sitting there kind of like looking kind of depressed. I'm like, oh, so she didn't really care. I mean, that's why I kind of took it. And that's why I made that videos. I got super mad and everything, saying like how like why is she doing this kind of thing. And then so pretty much she and then Friday came along, and that day was, I mean, wait, no, I was discussing Friday. Okay, and then Saturday I tried to call her, she didn't pick up, and then Sunday I tried to call her, she didn't pick up. And throughout the whole entire week, that week, by the way, I tried to call her like almost every day besides, I think Thursday, or no, Wednesday. And then, and then, and then yesterday came along. And I'm like telling everybody, don't tell her about the video I made and everything like that. And you're like, okay, but I already sent her the link. One of her friends named Jamie. I'm like, oh. And I tried to take the video down, and yet she already saw it. And I'm like, oh my god, I screwed up big time here. And I almost started crying in class because I'm like, oh my god, I just screwed up my life and everything like that. People are gonna start hating me now. I'm like, no, this is not the way I want my life to go right now. And then I started panicking during English when she came up to me and said, why did you call me a bitch? And I'm like, oh, no. I started stuttering, so I didn't know what to really say. And then they're like, they had to go back to their class, and she didn't like talk to me at all for the rest of the day. And I was trying to text her, trying to apologize, and she wouldn't really respond back, and she would say, just leave me alone. And I'm like, no, I just want to apologize. I'm like, can we just talk about it? She's like, no, leave me alone again. I'm like, oh my god, I freaking messed up. And then her friend Alex was saying to me, I said some bad stuff about him in the video, and he's like, and during science, like, he stood up to me when I was walking back in the classroom saying, so you think you can kick my ass? I'm like, maybe. And then he's like, and he sat right back down. And then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so now Jamie, Alex, Sabrina, and probably a couple other people hate me now. I'm like, I screwed up big time here. I didn't know what to do. So that today came along, which was a half day, and she's still really pissed off at me. And then I don't know what to do here. Ew, that was gross. I'm like really saddened now. Today during science again, I almost started crying because I didn't know, and as I started panicking. And then I found out today that she's dating another guy named Dimitri, and I'm like, oh my god, really? And then this girl's telling me about it, like, oh yeah, and everything like that. And I start getting really jealous and everything like that. And I'm like, oh my god, and I almost started like when I was walking home, I almost almost started crying, like tearing up. And then I came back to my house and you're like, oh yeah, she's totally over it. They kissed today. And I'm like, really? And I just sat there, for like 5 minutes, just like looking down. I'm like, and then my mom came in and she was like, Tyler, are you okay? I'm like, and she's like, Tyler. I'm like, it's not now. And then she's like, okay. And then now I'm just like kind of depressed and everything like that. Because when we were dating, that was the height of my time. Like, I was really, really sad before then because like there's nothing to look forward to at school. I don't get to see anybody like now school is more dreadful than ever and everything like that. And like she was like pretty much the light of my life like at the time and everything like that. She was like kept me going. And I really, really still like her and everything like that. Now she's another guy, and now she hates me. I'm like, oh god, there's no possible chance, and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, now I screwed up. So this is the end of the video. Bye.